Hello friends, I am Prof.Dr. D.D. Namdas, Department of Botany, S.G.M.College, Karad. Today I am talking on one important topic of plant physiology. By the title, it is a transpiration. When we commenting on the transpiration, it is completely related to one phenomenon, very important phenomenon, and that is plant-water relationship. In this plant-water relationship, where the step of transpiration came across, that we all study in this lecture. Under this title of transpiration, we are studying some units, some parts of that transpiration, and they are right from introduction, definition, some types of transpiration, stomatal movement, importance of transpiration, and one important phenomenon of anti-transpirants. One by one, we are looking into the transpiration. When we start with the introduction, look at this picture. Here we understand the plant having their different parts, root, stem, and the leaves. We always differentiate entire plant body divided into two parts, that is shoot system and root system. We know that the stem, branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. These we call it as the aerial parts of the plants, where the root system, underground plant parts. We know the plant get the water for different physiological processes for their growth and development from the root system, and we know in the root system there is a pipeline like a structure in the form of one tissue. We call it as a conducting tissue, and these conducting tissues are xylem and phloem. Plant absorbs the water from the root system. Here we see in the picture the root system. Plant absorbs the water H2 from the root system, and it is transported to the stem and the aerial part as like a leaves. Means absorption of water in the plant body takes place by the root system, and it is transported to the aerial part as like a stem and the leaves. We know plant continuously absorbs the water from the root system. Means maximum amount of the water is absorbed by the root system, but plant itself manage the use of this water and this utility of the water. So what is the water required for their different physiological conditions or their reactions, and what is the water which is not necessary for the life of plant, that is completely given out from the aerial part of the plant. So this is what the plant itself regulate the use of the water when the root system absorbs the water in the body of the plant. It means that some amount of the water is lost from the plant body. It means that plant absorbs the root, plant use the water, and plant lost the water. This loss of water from the plant body, it always takes place from different aerial parts of the plant body, and this a phenomenon is known as transpiration. When scientifically we are going into the content, what is transpiration? That is in the form of a definition. At that time we can define transpiration is the process of water movement from aerial parts, especially the leaves. Means mostly in the leaves, the water is abundant. And when this water is a transport or evaporate from the different structure of the leaf into the atmosphere, that evaporation or loss of water is, we call it as the transpiration. Look at this picture. The root system is there, leaves are there. Stem and leaves, these are the aerial parts, where the root system is underground. Root system absorbs the water which is available in the soil, and this water is absorbed through this root system and transported to the stem. Means pumping of the water takes place. Pumping of the water takes place by the root system, that is through the xylem. Then it is transported to the stem, then to the leaves. But when we look into the structure of the plant, entirely on the earth planet, they have the diversity in their growth and development in terms of height of the plant. Some plants are there, they are too high. Some plants are medium size, some plants are smaller plants. So we have a question. How the plant absorb the water from the root, and how they reach the water to the leaves. So here we understand one phenomenon which acts in the leaves, and that phenomenon is known as transpiration pull. Transpiration pull means that something is there in the stem, something is there in the leaf that pulls the water from the stem, which is absorbed by the root, and then it is transported or reached into the leaves. And in the process of transpiration, that is given out in the form of vapor into the atmosphere. So this is what we understand the transpiration. See here, when we classify this loss of water from the plant body by different aerial parts, we know in the aerial parts we have the stem, the leaves, and another parts as well as the flowers, as well as the fruits. So here these aerial parts, when used into the process of loss of water in the form of water vapor, that is in the transpiration, at that time we classify entire process of the transpiration into three categories. That is types of transpiration on the basis of their passage from where the water is given out. There are three methods or types of the transpiration. We call stomatal transpiration, we call it as cuticular transpiration, we call them as lenticular transpiration. Now see in this is one type of transpiration. It is known as cuticular transpiration. Means this loss of water from the plant body, it takes place through the cuticle. When the loss of water through the cuticle takes place, then it is called a cuticular transpiration. It means that some of the plants are there. These plants have this kind of structure known as a cuticle. Now we explain that term cuticle. Cuticle is a thick and a protective layer above the epidermis. So this thickness of this cuticle structure, it avoids the loss of water. Means that some water which has to be evaporated from the leaf, generally from the epidermis, it is a protected or it is checked. And so therefore we call it is a cuticular transpiration. Then another type of transpiration. This is known as lenticular transpiration. This is also one of the aerial part of the plant, and that is a lenticel. Lenticels are minute openings. They are mostly we observe on the stem, means some plants are there, they are the woody climbers. In their woody climbers, the stem having some natural pores, openings, and that pores are known as lenticels. So when water is absorbed by the root system into the stem, and when that water is getting evaporated from that pore of the lenticel, then that phenomenon is known as lenticular transpiration. See here, the structure we understand. This is the stem of the woody climber. Then this is a pore, or this epidermis is ruptured with this showing this complementary cells. So this opening, it is responsible for loss of water in the form of water vapor. So this is known as the lenticular transpiration. In general, in the plants, Loss of water means most of the plant and most of the loss of the water in the form of water vapor in the atmosphere mostly takes place by stomatal transpiration. It is very important phenomenon in the life of plant, where the loss of water from the plant body through the aerial parts into the atmosphere takes place by the stomata. It means that stomata are regulate or control the transpiration. Stomata are present in the leaves. One of the additional information we explained here that this stomata, which is a minute microscopic opening on the leaves, these stomata are present in the leaves at upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis. Means when the leaf surfaces have these two different layers, at that time the stomata present in the upper epidermis, they are few in number, while stomata present at lower surface of the leaves, they are maximum in number. Means stomata are present maximum at the lower epidermis, and these stomata is also called as one element of epidermal tissue system. Means this stomata is arranged into a layer of epidermis. So epidermal tissue system consists of this stomata. In short, when loss of water takes place through the stomata of the leaves, at that time it is called as stomatal transpiration. So therefore, it is our duty to explain the structure of stomata in detail. See here, when we see to the leaf, generally we understand that there is upper epidermis, there is a lower epidermis. In between that, we have photosynthetic tissue in the form of palisade tissue and mesophyll tissue. At the lower epidermis, we find there a loosely arrangement of the mesophyll tissue showing some intercellular spaces, and at the lower epidermis, we find there are some natural openings and they are called the stomata. So see here, stomata are located at epidermal layer, means there is some part, the space in the epidermis, and that we call as the stomata. Above the stomata there is intercellular space covered by this mesophyll cell. See, we understand here the structure of stomata. Now, how the stomata plays their role in the process of transpiration. In the process of transpiration,